to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please note that all council members are present. There's an copy of the Open Meetings Act is posted on the wall and is accessible to the members of the public. Consent agenda. All items on the consent agenda are considered to be routine by the City Council and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a council member so requests. Item A, approve agenda as submitted. Item B, receive and place on file all notices pertaining to this meeting. Item C, receive and place on file all materials having any bearing on this meeting. Item D, approval of minutes of the regular meeting on October 21st, 2024, as on file in the city clerk's office. Item E, approval of the treasurer's report of claims in the amount of $800,601.76. Item F, approval of Boswell report of claims in the amount of $220,459.20. Item G, approval of pay request number 23 in the amount of $277,730.72 to 3FI Incorporated for the June 2022 hailstorm. Resolution number 7438, granting permission to the Beatrice Area Chamber of Commerce and Gage County Tourism and their designees to sell or offer for sale or peddle goods, wares, or merchandise upon the city property located in Charles Park, the Carnegie Building, the public parking lot just south of the Carnegie Building, and on 5th Street between High Street and the east-west alley between Ellis Street and High Street as part of the Holiday Lighted Parade event on December 7, 2024. And item I, resolution number 7439, entering into agreement with Ramsey Smart Dollar for the purpose of providing full-time city employees financial wellness training. Anybody want anything pulled off? Seeing none, Mr. McLean.
I move the items listed on the consent agenda be approved, accepted, and ratified as presented.
Second.
Your vote, please. That passes 8-0. No public hearings tonight. We'll move on to resolutions. Resolution number 7433, adopting the drainage study for the Belvedere area.
I move the resolution number 7433 be passed and adopted.
Second.
So if you recall, we got a grant to pay for a part of this study that was done. As part of those grant requirements, they're asking that we have the city council adopt this particular drainage study that was done. The Belvedere drainage study studied the area between 3rd and 4th Avenue and went from Perry Street up to Mulberry Avenue. One of the things that they first looked at when doing this study was they looked at the existing conditions and they looked to see what structures were impacted on 2-year, 5-year, 10-year, and 50-year storm events. Those are kind of the things they look at when looking at these types of stormwater issues. So a 2-year event would be a storm that you would predict to happen every other year, right? Every 2 years, 5 years, once every 5 years, et cetera. And so when they initially looked at that drainage basin there, they did not show any structures being impacted by a 50-year storm event. There were some roadways that were impacted, but no structures that were impacted. So the next thing they did was they went and made some recommendations of different projects that they could do, or that we could do in the area to help alleviate some of those issues. And so one of them is there is an existing stormwater system at 3rd and Belvedere that runs back through some backyards there. They recommended abandoning that pipe, putting it out by the street, and extending that drainage system a little bit further to the south there. That was one of the recommendations. The culvert that crosses Marlboro Street, Marlboro, thank you. There you go.
2 ends.
2 ends, right. Marlboro.
Marlboro.
The culvert that crosses there is an existing 36-inch culvert. They recommend replacing it with dual 48-inch culverts. So a significant upgrade. So that gets to be kind of expensive. Then there is down at Sharpless Avenue, so at the very end of the drainage ditch towards the north. Again, there's an existing dual 30-inch pipe there. They recommend replacing it with 48-inch culverts. The issue down there starts to be, in order to get that size of pipe to fit under the street, then you got to redo like a block of street to get the fit, and so it becomes some issues. They also then put together some cost estimates for those different projects. Cost estimates for the project ranged from $192,000 up to $815,000 for the different projects we just listed out in the Belvedere area. So what we'll do is we'll take a look as we do projects in that vicinity. We'll look to see which ones of these we can kind of bring into those projects. So if we have a street project, what other improvements can we make as part of these recommendations to help alleviate some of those concerns that are out there?
Questions? Seeing none? Mr. McLean?
No, we have a motion, we
We
just
do.
need a vote.
Let's vote. And that passes 8-0. Next resolution is number 7434, adopting the drainage study for Tributary 44. Mr. McLean.
I move that resolution number 7434 be passed and adopted.
Second.
So same thing, same grant paid for the same study, and this one looks at the Tributary 44. So this is on the east side of town. There's really two different, if you will, drainage basins that kind of flow together. So you have the east one that runs by Christ Community Church, BSDC, that area comes down the east side. The west one runs through Hannibal Park and then down through the neighborhood there, where the two of them finally meet at 25th and Scott Street, right at the start at Flowing Springs area. It's kind of where they merge together before they flow into the Big Blue River. So again, we started by looking at impacted structures. Now, while the Belvedere one showed no impacted structures, the one in the Tributary 44 shows at the 5-year event that 15 different structures are impacted. They go up to the 100-year storm event on this side, on this particular study, and they got the 52 different structures are impacted by a 100-year storm event. Part of those we have some questions on. The model that they put together showed that some properties were impacted even at the 5-year event. When talking to people in that neighborhood, they never have seen water impact those particular structures. So we need to go out and verify a few of those particular areas. But you can see the Tributary 44 site is much different than the Belvedere site as far as the amount of impact to people. Again, they picked out a number of recommended projects. And on this particular drainage basin, what they recommend a lot of was upstream storage. So build detention cells on the north end to help hold water back and let it slowly drain into the rest of the drainage system as a way to kind of help make sure that you had enough pipe space to do those things. So they have storage on both the west side and the east side there. There's also some inlets at various places, High and Grant Street are a couple where they said to upgrade some of those. There's a storm sewer that runs from about 19th and Lincoln that actually pulls water back over to this particular drainage basin. And they recommended undoing that and letting that water stay in its drainage basin and not bring it into a new drainage basin. So those were some of the recommendations they came out with. And again, they have cost estimates put together for those types of improvements. And of those various improvements we just talked about, they have cost estimates range from $346,000 to $2.2 million for various projects. So much more impact, much bigger cost to try to correct some of these things. But partly what you see is the city has taken the stance of putting in regional detention cells, and we're trying to have new developments put in detention cells. So the example, obviously the hospital, they put some detention cells in. The Armory has one. The new gas station on the east side of town, they put a little detention cell in to help retain the difference between pre and post-construction runoff on their site rather than just continue to send that water downstream.
We're putting one in at Paddock, we're putting one in at Lincoln.
Correct.
Scott Street.
Yep.
So I've had several of my people contact me about this. So where can they look at this without actually coming down and getting the slip of paper? You're going to post this on the...
I will double check to make sure if it's not posted on the website, we'll get it posted.
Okay, so, and as of now, we don't have any plans to do any of this work.
No, again, it's one of those that as different developments happen or projects occur, we'll look to see what parts and pieces we can pick up. But some of them are quite large, and so we'll have to continue to look for other funding.
Okay.
Other questions? Okay, gentlemen, your vote, please. That passes 8-0. Resolution number 7440, executing the generally lease, request of reconveyance, and the deed of reconveyance, along with all their necessary documents to release and discharge Vincent Warner, Warner Investments, LLC, DBA Valentinos, and 701 East Court Street, LLC, regarding their LB 840 loan agreement.
I move the resolution number 7440 be passed and adopted.
Second.
So at the last meeting, you approved an LB 840 loan for Valentinos. This is to release their LB 840 loan from 2020. So in 2020, we loaned them $20,000. That has now been paid off in full. And so we are releasing all of the collateral and everything that went with the 2020 loan. And the 2023 loan has been dispersed, and that collateral has been put into place.
Any questions? If not, your vote, please. And that passes 8-0. Resolution number 7441, executing the grant agreement and any other documents necessary to effectuate the Nebraska Department of Economic Development Rural Community Recovery Grant Program number 23-RCRP-039.
I move that resolution number 7441 be passed and adopted.
Second.
Well, I guess if any grant could tell a story, this one would be the one that could do it for the city of Beatrice. So if you guys will recall, this was the money we originally got for the Kensington, right, through COVID money. And we had to turn it down along with every other community that got it because of the federal strings that were attached. And so we then went through that process, and then they came back out, the Department of Economic Development came out with a new program, so we reapplied then for the Rural Community Recovery Grant. And this time, they identified a number of, again, it had the federal strings, but playgrounds and recreational facilities would count as eligible activities. And so we put together an application. We identified about $1.5 million of various playgrounds and recreational facilities that we'd want to update or install. And so then we came back and received $985,000 on this particular grant. I don't know what happened to the other $15,000. I don't know what, sometime I guess inflation got it. But we have till 2026 to spend all these dollars. I would anticipate that at a very soon council meeting, we will have the actual grant application come forward, and we'll look to bring that to you guys and have you guys hopefully adopt that and approve that one, and we'll go forward with starting to get this grant process in place.
Questions?
Maybe just a comment, Bob. This took a lot of creative thinking and a lot of help with Main Street and a lot of people, Taylor and Tobias and stuff. Thank you guys for putting that together. Because it looked like it was stopped right in the middle of it for a while. So thank you very much for the work you put into that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Other
Yes.
Comments? Your vote, please. And that passes 8-0. There are no ordinances tonight. Public forum. The purpose of public forum is for the presentation of any item by general public to the city and council for consideration later date. No discussion or action will be taken by the city council at this time. Anyone here for the public forum?
Hello. So David Rayburn, 100 West Mulberry, Beatrice, Nebraska. So I noticed today, so you always refer to the Open Meetings Act, and I was on the website. I didn't find the minutes from the last meeting, so I think that's a violation of the Open Meetings Act. I think you are supposed to provide that. So I just make a comment there. There's no action that I can take on that, but if it's the Open Meetings Act, you should have access to the meetings of the last meeting. I know they weren't approved till tonight, but they should be there, and they're not on the site. Looking today, they're not on there. I looked at the details and everything else. But anyways, I'd like to present this in a different manner. Since the last 5 council meetings I've attended, you haven't taken any action, but there's Article 4, which there is a company that's in violation. You guys continue to do nothing about it. But I'd like to ask you again to stand up as councilmen, to stand up as citizens of Beatrice, stand up for the citizens of Beatrice, and do something. This person is in an ag zone. He's operating a commercial business. Article 307A specifically does not state the business that he's in. And again, you continue to take no action. So as I sit here and I look at you, there's people looking down. There's nobody looking at me. There's a couple of you councilmen are looking at me, but the rest of you are just ignoring me. So I'd appreciate it as a citizen of Beatrice, I at least get enough respect that I sit up here in front of you, meeting after meeting after meeting, 6 meetings in a row, and you barely even look at me. I think you're embarrassed for what you're doing to the city of Beatrice. You're not enforcing the ordinance. It's clearly in violation of the ordinance, and you continue to do nothing about it. So as a council, as a mayor, I don't think the citizens of Beatrice will come here and stand in front of you because they're bullied. They're bullied by the administrator who has the power to enforce the ordinance. The mayor has no power to stop the enforcement of an ordinance. You have an ordinance officer that is under oath to do the right thing and take this ordinance out of compliance and do something about it. You're supposed to do something for it. So that's all I can really say to you again is I'd ask for you to do something to it. You can put it on the agenda. I understand that the mayor is responsible for putting everything on the agenda, but the 8 of you councilmen have some kind of power. You know, Gary Barnard wants to move from council Ward 4 to Ward 1, but I don't see any action from Ward 4. You should support anybody that comes in front of you and says there's an ordinance that is not being followed time after time after time. You guys should be embarrassed to be sitting on the council. You know, at the end of the day, you like to use that term, at the end of the day, you should do the right thing. You should stand up for what you're supposed to be doing. You're supposed to be a councilman. You're supposed to be in support of your citizens in your ward. You're supposed to be in support of the other citizens in the city of Beatrice, but I don't see you doing anything. So I'll be again here in 2 weeks and see if you guys decide to do anything, but it should be embarrassing to you, to the city, as how you treat your citizens. Now, I'm not embarrassed to come in front of you and do this every time that you guys meet. The public forum is there for this type of announcement, if you will. And all I can do is ask for you to do what you're supposed to do. Do the right thing. You know, this guy is operating a commercial business in an ag zone, and there is no relevance for him to be there. And he's been doing it not just a day, not just a week. I've been complaining in this since September of 2023. I've been to the city ordinance guy, who I think has a different title now, development of community, whatever, but he's still responsible for that side of it. The administrator sits there and looks down at his computer, but he knows he's wrong. He isn't the guy that controls it. He reports to you, Mr. Mayor. You understand that, right? The city offices report to the mayor. That's how it is in other cities. I've looked it up in all the cities you'd like to duplicate. In Lincoln, in Kearney, in Grand Island, y'all refer to those Hastings, y'all refer to those other councils, and that's what happens. But you need to enforce this ordinance, and that's what I ask you again tonight. To do the right thing, stand up, got a citizen being in violation of an ordinance for 15 months now. And at the end of the day, I just hope that you do the right thing. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else for the public forum? If not, the next city council meeting will be on November 18th, 2024 at 7 p.m. right here. Mr. McLean?
Under the mayor's.
Oh, wait a minute. We got to do Tobias's report.
You skipped it last time.
I know. I skipped it last time, you know. All right.
There's a football game he wants to watch.
That's true. That's true.
Well, I'll make mine short. I just want to first off by saying thank you for everybody understanding my absence at the last meeting and letting me go be a dad. I greatly appreciate it and certainly would have missed it in the world. Couple updates. 33rd and Lincoln Street, if you have not been out there, it's open. And so we're working on putting streetlights up and getting those last few things done, but it's open for traffic. The City Hall generator project has been on the list for a while, is complete. And so that generator was originally down at the old fire station. Obviously they moved, they got a new one. And and we repurposed that generator now back up at City Hall as we start to move IT infrastructure into that particular building. And then on Thursday night, there's going to be an open house at the library about Dempster's and the EPA grant that we are applying for. So again, it's at the library. Don't go to Dempster's. You could probably get into it, but don't go there. There's going to be nobody else there to talk to you. It's going to be Thursday night, 4 to 6 p.m. We'll update you a little bit about where we're at on that particular project. But again, we're looking to apply for an EPA brownfield cleanup grant on that property. And so one of the boxes we need to check is by having an open house. So that's all I got.
All right. Now, Mr. McLean.
I move the meeting be adjourned at 7:20 PM.
Second.
In favor? Passes 8-0. Thank you very much. Everybody have a good, safe evening.